Manx Radio.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Pastor Mai, good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Manx Radio. Your chance to have your say 5 days a week between midday and 1 o'clock. And it's an open line today. So call 66 13 68, text or WhatsApp on 166 177, or if you're WhatsApping, you'll need us in your contacts. Email studio@manxradio.com. Having said it was going to be dry with sunny intervals today, I had a complete panic because I looked outside and it was raining. Actually, it wasn't raining. It's the window cleaner. Well, it's apposite. It's very appropriate as we're at the show tomorrow. Lots of farming people will be on the show tomorrow on Mannin Line. We've got an outside broadcast from Knockalo. There are strong words from the Manx National Farmers Union saying you can't kick the can down the road any longer. The Manx National Farmers Union has laid out its own manifesto ahead of September's general election, calling on candidates to commit to addressing the Isle of Man's food security. You remember, I think it was Claire Barber, the minister, who said that only 6% of the food that we consume on the Isle of Man comes from the Isle of Man. So by definition, that is 94% comes from off the island. I have to tell you that Claire Barber is standing in Douglas East as a candidate, also standing Joni Farragher, Dave Mackey and Andrew Saunders. So from the Manx National Farmers Union, here's the General Secretary, Sarah Comish.
Our food security is in a very precarious place now. 94% of our food is being imported. One thing I would ask people to consider, supermarkets are very good at keeping their shelves stocked. However, the shelf life of our fresh foods, I would ask people how long they think that could last if the boat didn't sail. And so it should be a key topic for government now that our food security has fallen so far. In the UK, they're worried about it, and it's under 50% in the UK, and that is a real concern for them. But ours is 6%, and we live on a tiny island, so we are almost fully reliant on that boat for our food. It's shocking. And agriculture delivers more than just food to Isle of Man farmers. They need investment. They need to be able to invest in their own businesses. They're producing food and protecting the environment. Who else on the island can do that?
Why is it something that you don't think that this current administration has taken seriously enough? I mean, do you feel like the warnings that you've been putting out there for a long time now have been falling on deaf ears in this government?
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe strongly that we've copied the UK government in leaving our food security in the hands of supermarkets.
And what impact do you think that has?
Well, it's been quite obvious to us on the island what impact that has. And I think sometimes we fall into a bit of a trap here where there is an argument that says, I can't afford Manx food. Well, Manx produce is produced to the highest standards in the world, and that costs. But I've done my own studies of the cost of Manx food, and I've looked out there and I've seen that the Manx produce is actually sitting price-wise where it should be. So it's sitting in the mid to premium price ranges of an equivalent product from the UK or further afield. I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't think Manx produce should be in the race to the bottom to compete for the cheapest. I don't see why we should be doing that.
Well, it's always the conundrum, isn't it? Quality of food versus cost of food. And I just wonder where you sit. Now, just remember that statistic. 6% of food consumed on the Isle of Man comes from the Isle of Man. 94% from elsewhere. So we're reliant on supply chains. We're reliant on the boat. We're reliant on suppliers from the UK. And we are very reliant on the supermarkets. Tesco, Spar, the Co-op. None of them Manx. Spar's a Dutch cooperative. The Co-op, well, is it Manx? Really? How much Manx stuff does the Co-op actually stock? Tesco stocks some Manx stuff, but nowhere near as much as ShopRite. And remember, this was the government that let Tesco walk in. Now, they could have stopped Tesco coming in because they're in almost a monopoly position. There are other supermarkets, but none anywhere near the size of Tesco. So the government, somebody somewhere, takes a responsibility for letting Tesco in. Something could have been said at the time. Either split ShopRite between two supermarkets, Aldi, Lidl, whoever, but we got Tesco. They are hugely efficient and they are very price conscious. But they don't look after our environment. Our farmers do. Could be the fact that we don't have many farmers in Tynwald. Now, once upon a time, of course, Sir Charles was in, Sir Miles was in, people like David Anderson. We had farmers who understood both farming and Tynwald. Obviously, Tim Johnston is in, but I don't think he has a day-to-day hand in running farms. So we're very thin on agricultural talent, as it were, on the shop floor, the farmyard floor within Tynwald. So where do we go from here? Remember, as Sarah Comish said, these are the people that protect the environment, look after the environment, husband our countryside. The reason we look so nice are these people who get up at the crack of dawn and sometimes work into the night. And for not a lot of money. Any thoughts? Text, email, call and WhatsApp. Anything else that's on your mind? Here's Julian with us now. Hi, Julian.
Hi, Andy. I wonder if the DEFRA Minister, Claire Barber, will actually turn up this year for the show.
Well, she won't be on Mannin Line, obviously, because she's standing for office, obviously. So that would be sort of countermanding it all. So she won't be. I think Tim Cowsill, the chief chief officer, will be turning up tomorrow to have a chat.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I will listen with interest on that. I noticed the headline of today's Isle of Man Today website, which of course is the Isle of Man newspaper's website. The headline, Windfarm petition with 9,000 signatures thrown out and ruled out of order. Now this will be ruled out of order by the Tynwald Standing Orders Committee, whose members are Jewin Watterson, David Ashford, Claire Christian, Joni Farragher, Tim Glover, Laurie Hooper, Diane Kelsey, and last but not least, Paul Crane, who incidentally is also the Deputy Chair of the Climate Change Transformation Board. I also noticed that every member of the current Tynwald Standing Orders Committee voted for a major net zero piece of legislation, the 2022 Climate Change Interim Target Regulations. And in fact, you'll probably remember, it was only Stu Peters who voted against it across all of the votes from the MHKs and MLCs. If you consider the climate change plan consultation that happened back in July of 2021, this is cited often as the reason that to say that the public wanted to have the Climate Change Act going in. So if you look at it in terms of public engagement, and it was a small number of people that actually responded, 319, of which a portion of those, 200 and something, were actually for it. So if you put that in the context of the More Vannin petition, for every one person who voted for the climate change legislation in that consultation back in 2021, now 43 people have voted against More Vannin for every one that wanted it back. So that's kind of saying to me that there's a huge shift in public opinion against this highly destructive net zero policies. It's also apparent that the money received from Ørsted from More Vannin's seabed lease is about 18,000 times less than Ørsted would have had to have paid for a similar project size in the UK. And it seems that all the benefit is going to go to the UK anyway, not us. And on top of this, you've got this undemocratic secrecy clauses that are being applied against Tynwald members and prospective candidates. So it appears that the DOI civil servants, the DOI, in theory, has got control over the seabed. It seems that they're just rolling forward with this, despite a huge number of the public on this island, obviously against it, hence the petition. And now the petition's been ruled out of order, which I'd say is a slap in the face, and it almost seems to me to be contemptuous of the people on this island, I would say, Andy.
Well, remember, Tynwald will have a final say in this. This is it's by no means a done deal. This is just another step along the way. And Tynwald, in the end, will either say yes or no. And it depends on how much Ørsted is prepared to pay. And I'm sure the people at Ørsted, and they listen, and I know they listen, and they are listening now, will know that people are a little, how can I put it, a little... the word is not suspicious, but they're a little cagey about how deep Ørsted are prepared to dig into their deep pockets when the Isle of Man is mentioned. I don't know whether they think we're just like Heligoland or one of the Frisian Islands near Denmark, but we're not. We're not a tiny little island. We are a micronation. We're a nation state. And I don't know whether they actually know that and know that we know quite a bit about making money.
Yeah, that's right. And there's lots of side issues here. For example, the MIMA legislation that took over from the Manx wildlife legislation that protected beyond out towards the sea was switched with the MIMA legislation. And 10 years later, it appears that the legislators on the island have done nothing to extend those protections to the bird life and the sea life that were previously protected before 2016. So we've kind of gone backwards with the legislation here that's supposed to protect it. And then you've got this, I mean, basically, this is being imposed on people, the sea life, and birds. And, we've talked many times about the fact that the stocks of kittiwakes, I mean, the projected number of deaths by Ørsted, and I don't even think I think they're underestimating it, exceed the number of birds that we've got here. So, you've got all these things going on, but it just seems to be rolling forward. I don't know, what is going to slow this down or stop it? Because you clearly, if you've got for every one that wanted this in their own consultation, you've got 43 people now that are digging their heels in and saying we don't want more vanning. I mean, that's a large percentage of the island, over 9,000.
Well, we don't know. We don't know. It often gets mentioned to me that, all we ever hear on Mannin Line are people who don't like the wind farms. Well, that's not true. We do have some people who do agree with the concept of wind farms. Whether or not that's the right one is open to conjecture. But it may be that... Julian, you are in a minority. It may be that there's a huge silent majority of people who can't wait to have a wind farm.
Well, let's take the Mannin Line. I mean, what's the ratio of people that you've been listening to on this radio program that are for it as against it?
Well, it's fair to say most people that get in touch are against the wind farms. That may be that the ones who are for it just sit back with their arms folded and say, well, it's going to happen anyway, and I'm for it. We don't know. We genuinely don't know. We only know the people who speak on the air and who send messages in. Well,
let's take a couple of snapshots. Caervai, the Erie Staying Onshore one, there were 93 seats available in Arbury Community Hall. There was over 150 people turned up, and aside from about two, everyone put their hand up against that. You also had the Laxey meeting. Pretty much everyone voted against that. So I'd like to know where all these majority of people are hiding that are for it. You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't... Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that's the point. They may, as you say, at that meeting, it may be that you said there were a couple of people who were for the wind farm?
Yeah, literally two.
So it may be that those two people, or anybody who's for the wind farm, knows they're going to be in a minority when it goes to a public meeting, and may be a bit intimidated and just think, well, I'm not going there because I'm going to get shouted down.
But that doesn't make any sense. If there's a huge number of people that are for it, surely they'd show their support.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, remember, it wasn't just that petition that was thrown out. More than one in three petitions for redress of grievance were ruled out of order. So they didn't just single that one out. There were quite a lot of others. Anyway, okay, Julian.
There was. Yep. All right. Thanks very much, Andy.
All right. Good to hear from you. I want to go to Anne with us now. Hi, Anne.
Oh, hello. It looks as if Deemster Luft's old house, Leyton, which is just up from Tesco in Victoria Road, is about to be demolished. Is this so? Because I understand that it is a listed building.
Well, this is the one. I'm sure I saw some plans for that, which means it's going to be maintained and sort of almost made bigger, I think.
Well, it's going to rack and ruin at the moment.
Oh, it looks awful.
Yes, I would like to know how a beautiful listed house has been allowed to fall into such a state of disrepair. And what's the point of listing buildings if the rules are not applied? I would also like to know who's responsible for this, for the application of rules and the supervision of listed buildings. Now, I'm aware that many people are concerned about the lack of actions from the authorities and what is, in effect, supervised neglect. Leyton's not the only place being allowed to rot.
Yeah. Which others can you think of?
Well, there's Newson's on the quay. There was the tram place down there that was being allowed to rot. Something's being done about it now. But I'm sure there's other places which have just been allowed to go.
Well, we'll wait and see. But as I say, I'm sure I saw some plans for Leyton. But as you say, it looks haunted at the moment. It looks awful and forlorn.
Yes, and I bet you sixpence that they are going to put up some horrible new eco-friendly, modern, flat-fronted stuff there.
And it'll probably be grey and white or black and white.
That's right.
Okay. We appreciate your call today, Anne. Thanks for being with us.
Okay, thanks, bye.
Good to hear from you. Robert's with us now. Hi, Robert.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thanks.
I'll be the green boy of the day then, because I want to talk up about climate change.
Right.
And I want to address the fact that it was the hottest month since records began last month in the UK. In terms of rainfall, there was 0.1% in a couple of counties, or 0.1 millimetre in millilitres in counties. So, it's getting worse. If you look at the wildfires that are happening in Europe, well, what happens when that gets to the Shires?
Well, what's going to happen, though? I can bet you, we're in August now, okay? It's the last month of the year with no R's in it. So when we get to September and the heavens open on the Isle of Man, what is everybody going to say then when it rains solidly for 6 weeks?
Well, that's true, but it's getting more extreme at either end of the candle, because if you look at the summer, it's getting really hot, and look at the winter. We could have a white Christmas again, for Christmas. So, or something like that.
Are you worried about climate change, Robert?
Very much so, and I believe that if you go to green.co.im, you'll see all the results.
And what do you think we can do about it? Because it's all very well being, wringing our hands about it. What do you think we can actually do?
I think we need to get a discourse going. I think there needs to be positive action in terms of we need an agency to get things going, and we need to get a grasp of the nettle in terms of getting a proper company going to get money out of the government to allow for loans like they did with Solar City and things like that, So do
you think the government should be shelling out for everybody to have a solar panel, do you think?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's a thought. Good to hear from you today, Robert. Thanks for being with us. I want to go to... It's Juan with us now. Hi, Juan.
How are you today, Andy?
Well, very happy, thanks. Yes, it's a nice day, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a nice day. Yeah. You're at the agricultural show on Friday, aren't you?
You're there tomorrow. I'll be there in my purple blazer. You won't miss me.
We won't miss you. We never miss you, Andy. We never miss you. You always stand out there. Just a couple of housekeeping points on yesterday. I was talking about the price of shipping stuff over here with the steam packet, and I think someone came on saying about what price he gets his pallets over. So, you can get pallets over cheaper if you're taking them to their depot. So my point on that was wherever that pallet was picking up was a par for par and apples for apples from an area of England, if you will. So that was on a par for par basis of what it costs to go here as to go to Ireland. So I understand his point of where he was, but it's relevant to where your pallets are getting picked up and where they're getting shipped from.
Okay.
And then Stephen came on afterwards, and he mentioned me in respect of what I said about the steam packet. What I actually said said was I agree with Stephen in so much as government shouldn't be running the steam packet or getting involved. But my thing was what remit the Treasury gave the steam packet in, we want you to make excessive amount of money, we want the steam packet to be profitable, or we want it to be for the people. So my thing was the remit that came from the Treasury to the arm's length company. That was the point I was making on that, as to where we stand with the steam packet as far as money goes. What Julian was saying there briefly, about you were taking middle ground there on, is the silent majority just sitting there and saying nothing? I'd have to say that I'd never seen before captains of the parish calling meetings, Andy, over many things. Can you remember any meetings called by the captain of the parish in the last 20, 30 years for anything?
I'm trying to think. I'm sure. I don't know whether Charles Farger called one in Middle, but off the top of my head, not really, no.
No, and that's the point here, I think, there's been 2 meetings called by the captains of the parishes, with full houses, as Julian said. I was at both of them, packed to the gunnels with people with their views. Now, if you take a snapshot of that, which is what they do with a lot of polls, you're taking a snapshot of people. The snapshot would say that there's more people that have joined the anti-brigade on wind turbines, and I think that's growing productively as time goes on and more information comes out. I think the people who are on the side of pro wind farms are there.
But the thing is, I get it in the neck from people who say to me, you never let anyone on who's for wind farms, and my rejoinder is always, you just pick up the phone. If you're for wind farms, you call. Whatever you want to do, you go for your life and tell us all about why you're for wind farms.
Absolutely.
It doesn't happen. And I get accused of all sorts of bias of not allowing people on the air. Well, the door's open. The door's open. If you want to talk about how you are for wind farms, then by all means do. The Mannin Line is for opinions. It's for everybody to voice their opinion. If you don't hear opinions, if you only hear opinions you don't like or you don't agree with, there's a simple answer. Pick up the phone.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And there is a site on Facebook that's pro wind farms, so there's a site there if people want to go, and they can make their own mind up. But, as I've said before on the programme, a large debate where people can zoom in or go to the hall and listen to both sides. You're going to do political debates with all the candidates soon for the elections, where they're going to sit round and they're going to have a debater in the middle. So why not do that for this and have the relevant people there, rather than, you say Orsted are sitting in listening to the show, and they will be, as will members of our government. So, let's have them out there against each other and discussing this in the public field, so people can make their own decisions up about the cut and thrust as it goes on.
One thing I can guarantee, by the way, that obviously Mannin Line isn't on social media, so one thing, everybody who comes on is a real person and not a bot or somebody who's hiding behind an assumed identity. Everybody is a real person, and as I say, if you don't like what you hear or you don't agree with what you hear, then you call, and you have as much right as anybody else to say what your opinion is.
And that's why I like this show, Andy, because, like you say now, so many people are hiding behind alias names and pseudonames on the internet, and you don't know who you're talking to, but you do know the majority of people on here are who they are. Yeah. And listening to Sarah Comish before, just briefly there, Sarah's got relevant points there on and we've discussed this so many times on this programme, and I think health issues on the island have to be taken into consideration with quality of food as well. You look at so many things now that's affecting younger people through the additives that's in stuff, and food comes out of the ground, it doesn't come out of a factory, that's a product. So you have to take that into consideration about healthy eating and where we're going. Will
you be at the show tomorrow, Juan?
I will, Andy. I will search you out in your purple haze.
Okay, thanks for calling today.
Take care, Andy.
All right, 29 minutes after 12.
For a wide range of wood-burning stoves and a complete installation service, visit The Snug in Ramsey.
And we don't stop there. Kiln-dried firewood and full aftercare service, including chimney sweeps and maintenance. Call The Snug in Ramsey.
Charity of the Week, brought to you by Kell Properties.
Every day, Heroes on the Water Isle of Man helps improve well-being through the healing power of the outdoors. We provide free activities, including kayaking, fishing, walking and sea dipping for our Armed Forces, Veterans, Emergency Services and uniformed volunteers. Think you could help? We're looking to welcome new volunteers and corporate sponsors to help us continue changing lives. Find out more at heroesonthewater.im or the Heroes on the Water Facebook page. We're stronger together.
This advert is brought to you by Kell Properties.
Elevate Rubber Cover from Rubber Roof Shop for one-piece flat roofing systems. No joins, no leaks. We also line commercial box gutters in one piece up to 60 metres with a 20-year written warranty against leakage. Call Rubber Roof Shop on 49667.
Getting to your ideal weight can be a journey full of ups and downs, dead ends and diversions. But at Kingsley Mooti, we can keep your weight loss journey moving in the right direction with dedicated support throughout from our in-house clinical team and treatments tailored to your specific needs. Start your online consultation today at kingsleymooti.com or call 625040 to book an appointment with our trusted team. Rated 5 stars by over 100 patients. Kingsley Mooti. Your health, our commitment.
It's time to start enjoying the garden. And from barbecues to garden furniture and machinery, tools and plants, Riley's Garden Centre has everything you need. Call Road Braddon and rileys.co.im or follow them on Facebook or Instagram.
Hello, this is Doug Farragher. In conjunction with Manx Radio, I'd like to invite you to join us and learn something about our native Gaelic tongue, the language of man.
This evening at 6:30, you can hear Seach Ley.
I grew up with a lot of other kids who were also second-generation Morris dancers, and many of them are here today. And our teenage rebellion was to learn Manx dancing instead.
You have 8 people going out to tell people about the Isle of Man and how they can get there and share information about our culture and history.
That's this evening at 6:30 in Seach Ley.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
A note in from Jason who said, regarding the steam packet, is the Arrow in service? She looks out of service. Is she out of service? We're not seeing any daily freight from Heysham when Larne is sailing. Is this the result of poor maintenance programmes and management of the steam packet? What's happening to the Arrow? If COVID told any business anything, it's disaster recovery and business continuity. Ideas that the steam packet management clearly doesn't understand. Well, that's Jason's words, by the way. And now the Treasury, as majority shareholders, should be pressured to take action against the board. Is the Arrow in service or not? And 2 points, says Andy, in the candidate's interview before your show. He discussed Ramsey Cottage Hospital and that the cost to rebuild was only marginal more than a short-term refurb project. Does anybody really trust the government anymore to manage public infrastructure projects and their costs after the horror shows of Douglas Promenade and the Liverpool Shed? I think you mean the Liverpool terminal, don't you? Anyway, and Steve said the vast majority of the general public don't feel the need to call Mannin Line every single day with their view on wind farms, so don't presume everybody agrees. Well, okay, Steve. So if you're for wind farms, you sit back glowing with pride knowing that you're right and don't feel the need to enter into the discourse. Well, if that's your point of view, then obviously I have to respect that. I am the silent majority, says George. I support the wind farms. Confident in the silent majority. Well, George, thanks for your contribution. And John said, you're forgetting the group of people who don't care either way. Tony said 6% food security is a joke. But where can I buy Manx baked beans, Manx soups, Manx bread, Manx cornflakes and many other items? We don't have a Manx tinned food industry. We can only buy what's on the shelves. Fair point, well made. However, we do grow spuds on the Isle of Man. And I mentioned, and it wasn't entirely ribald, I mentioned a few months ago, why doesn't the government ban everyone else's spuds so that we only eat Manx potatoes? Then we'd have a Manx potato industry. Jersey's got a potato industry. Why can't we have a potato industry? The government could do that. We have a creamery. Why do we allow other people's milk on the Isle of Man? Why don't we insist that Manx cheese is given prominence in front of everybody else's? We can grow an industry, but there has to be a pathway to that industry. And 6% food security surely isn't the way to go, is it? Bonzo's on now. Hi, Bonzo.
Hello. Yes. All those who say, why don't people phone in about wind farms and their advantages, and I would just say to them, try being me for a few years. You can see the extremely large bit on my forehead where I've had to be banging my head against a table and a wall. I remember Beth Hesby asking me once why I phoned Mannin Line, and I said, I don't know, masochism, mental illness. No, it's because, yes, there is another viewpoint, and there is another rational way of looking at these things. Now, before I talk about food security, very quickly on the petition for the wind farm, or should I say the petition against the wind farm to Tynwald. Well, it doesn't matter that there's 9,000 signatures on it, because it's a petition to Tynwald presented on the Hill is a different thing entirely to a petition that you go around on the street and say, can you sign your name on that? And it has to be framed in a particular way in order to then pass muster and then be placed in Tynwald so that a Tynwald member can pick it up and then advocate it. Now, did they talk to the clerk of Tynwald, who apparently can, on request, help people with drafting their petitions so that they have a good chance of getting through? Don't know whether they did that. Or, if I were a sort of Malcolm Tucker user of the black arts, I would actually come up with a petition that I know wouldn't be accepted, so that it could be rejected, and then I could jump up and down and say, why wasn't it accepted? That would get far more in the way of discussion and headline, one that would be accepted and then would sit around waiting for members to pick it up, because there are petitions to Tynwald that have been accepted and waiting to be picked up for donkey's years.
Okay, food security.
So, food security. Yes, I mean, 6% food security is no food security at all. But this is a problem that, to a great extent, we have from the UK, because, of course, the 94% of food that we get is, the vast majority from the UK. And the UK itself has huge food security insecurity. Something that has been, or was going to be, discussed in public with the release of a report last year in October, which then, on the eve of the release of the report, then very hastily withdrawn, and then an extremely redacted summary was then, after various FOI requests were made, then came out, and the extremely redacted summary was alarming enough. Caroline Lucas, the former leader of the Green Party, has a series of podcasts on this on the Rest is Politics website, and those podcasts unfortunately are behind a paywall, but there are other podcasts addressing this issue which aren't. And it would seem that this report, which was constructed by the UK Joint Intelligence Committee, as MI5, MI6, various pieces of Ministry of Defence and others, the really, really serious classified briefings that COBRA meetings get, and the National Security Committee get. And their thought, one of the details Caroline was going to allowed to come out was the fact that the committee thought that there was a high degree of confidence that a food security crisis would happen before 2030.
The trouble is that we won't know. I mean, we, the public, we, the ordinary people, won't know we're in trouble with food security until we're up to our knees in it, until we are in trouble. So, I mean, there's very little we, the public, can do about this. This is down to the people who we pay to protect us. That's their job. Bonzo, do you think they're doing it?
Well, no, because it looks too hard a job. I mean, if you think about our position, 6% food security, right? If we wanted to get to 12% food security, we have to double our output. Now, is that possible? Is it a question that some of the output has been there for export, so that would then be brought back into the domestic market by various other means? But just getting to the idea of 12% means that we have to double food production.
Okay.
To get anywhere near the UK figure is vulnerable enough, which is I think about 5% or so.
Okay.
To get anywhere near that, God knows what we'd have to do. But terracing on the slope of Snaefell and north and south Peru, the Peruvians do.
All right. Appreciate it today, Bonzo. Thanks for. By the way, I'll put you down for a badge, a Mannin Line dedication to the cause badge. Thanks for calling.
You'll get a tea towel.
Okay. Thanks for calling, Bonzo. Stella's with us now. Hi, Stella.
Oh, hi, Andy. Do I need to turn my radio off?
Yes, if you would. Otherwise, we'll think we're in.
I just tell Alexa. Hold on. Alexa, stop.
It's like the Ipcris file. We're in an echo chamber. Anyway, what did you want to say, Stella?
There's a meeting about Ramsey Cottage Hospital tonight in St Paul's Hall. I hope everybody will go and air their views. It's a damn disgrace the way they've let that hospital.
What time does it start, Stella?
7, I think.
Okay. And who's called the meeting? Who's doing it?
Don't know. I'm not very helpful, am I, Andy? But
well, you're very helpful in that you've told us when it is and where it is.
Yes. Yeah. It's St Paul's Hall. Oh. I think. Well, no, I don't know who's called it.
Okay, and what do you think of the situation with the cottage hospital?
It's a damn disgrace. They've been trying to shut the central government. Whoever, or the powers that be, have been trying to shut down the cottage hospital for donkey's years.
And yet, whenever we ask them, Stella, whenever we get a politician or anybody and say, is Ramsey Cottage Hospital safe? They say straight away, yes, it's fine, it's going to be there for years, it will be okay.
They're lying through their teeth.
Oh, Stella, you can't say that, Stella.
Well, I didn't mention any person. No. It's going it's not functioning as it should be at the moment.
Well, the thing is, it's pivotal. It's very important in the whole makeup of Manx care, because obviously if there's ever a problem with Nobles, we've got our own bijou little hospitalette in Ramsey, but the trouble is it's full of ringies and joeys.
Well, I know, but why was it ever let to get in that position in the first place? They've not been maintaining it. Is it just socially engineered to shut it down? Is this the way they've been doing it?
Well, this comes down to trust in politics and politicians, if you like, and the fact that you obviously don't trust politicians by what you're saying.
Oh no, I don't. It's the politicians should be checking the civil servants who are making these decisions.
Right, okay.
Yes.
All right, so it's 7 o'clock tonight. By the way, Ramsey commissioners, I think, are hoping to live stream it as well. So.
Oh, that's good. Oh, well. Well, yes, we don't want it to close.
And will Cafe San Paolo be open? Will there be a cup of tea there, I wonder?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I'll bring my own flask.
All right. Stella, thanks for calling today.
Sorry, I'm not very helpful about what, the nitty-gritty bits, but I'm just passionate about keeping our hospital
Good to hear from you, Stella. Thanks for calling today.
Thanks, Andy. Right, bye.
All right, look at that time, 16 minutes to 1, and John's with us now. Hi, John. We haven't found John. In that case, it's going to be, I think we've got Tony B with us now. Hi, Tony.
Hello, Andy.
Yeah, sorry, John disappeared down a blighted line 4 today. What's on your mind, Tony?
Yeah, well, he'll reappear in a different rabbit hole out the Warren, don't worry. I've got a concern, shall I say, that as usual, we're not getting all the information. Ramsey Cottage Hospital, they say, it needs £4 million. And I would wonder where that's come from. And is that over 1 year? Is it immediately before we can reopen it? There is no detail on this. It's a disgrace. So constructively, we're trying to close it, but we won't tell you what's going on. And this echoes across the whole of government. Everything you ask a question about, it's secret. You can't ask questions about that. And it comes from steam packet, you name it, it comes from anywhere. We have to get away from this. We've got to get a government where they tell us what's going on. And the Treasury are just laughing at us. They're not taking any notice of what people say.
Is it because they don't want to give us bad news? Is it that, we're at a stage now where nobody seems to want to tell somebody bad news and say, look, I'm really sorry, we're in a pickle, we've got no money, it's got to go? Or do they couch it in all sorts of different terms?
I think the second one, the latter, because it comes down to, if they were to say, this, that and the other, they're scared about the reaction, and they don't want to be the people that give us bad news, because that would indicate that somebody's done something wrong. I'll give you an example. We keep having people come on the radio now and telling us, oh my word, the reason we have to get rid of everything is we've got the triple lock and that costs too much money. Well, what about the money we keep spending on MHKs who retire? I mean, we don't seem to have anything about that. I mean, somebody came on this morning, I think, and said that he can't believe the quality of what we're getting. And that's because you've got public servants who want a job, basically, not to do anything, which is what we've got a lot of already. We need to have more businessmen in Tynwald, and we should go back to how it used to be. Don't pay them anything. They can have expenses, and that's it. And we will take them all out of the civil service list, because they shouldn't be in the civil service, because they're not civil servants. They are elected MHKs. If they're in the civil service, then you would have a situation where the civil service is telling us what they can and can't do. And that's wrong. It should be the electorate. Yeah, you think about that, and that would mean you've got to turn the clock back. And that's what we need to start thinking about. We need to turn the clock back on the healthcare system situation, because that's failed. We need to turn the clock back on how we elect MHKs and what they're paid and their pensions, because that's killing the country. I would like to know how much money goes out of the Treasury to pensions of MHKs and civil servants.
Everybody's used to it now, though, Tony.
No, but we need to stop being used to it, because it's getting to the stage where they're treating us like idiots. And I think the only thing that's going to happen is, if we don't start getting proper MHKs, we're going to end up with no money, and we won't be able to pay anything. And we'll end up not being independent. We'll be going back under the UK government.
Okay. All right.
Food security, if you look at what's on the shelves, even stuff imported at Tesco's, no Manx kippers, full stop. No, they come from Scotland, though. You can buy them from Scotland, believe it or not. Potatoes come from all over the world.
Yeah.
Why? Because the government doesn't do anything about it. We have banks don't want to do anything because it costs them money. We need to get a handle on how do we control some of these things. And the government doesn't want to take that on board.
OK. All right, Tony, good to hear from you today. Thanks for calling.
Good to hear from you, Andy, as well.
All right.
Glad you're still there.
Well, thank you. 11 minutes to 1.
Now is your chance to recognise inspirational individuals and groups making a real difference on the Isle of Man with the Heroes of Man Awards, brought to you by A Little Piece of Hope charity. From quiet acts of kindness to outstanding community work, nominate your hero or heroes at alittlepieceofhope.com/nominations. That's alittlepieceofhope.com/nominations. Nominations close Sunday the 30th of August, with the awards ceremony late January 2027. Details coming soon. This advert has been kindly supported by Cayman National Bank in the Isle of Man, rewarding relationships built on trust, and your nation's station, Manx Radio.
Direct cremation is just that. An affordable and simple cremation without all the costs associated with a funeral service. Find out more by visiting directcremation.im or phone Direct Cremations on 478 422.
At Bond Fabrics, we're not just a fabric shop. As well as curtains and upholstery and dress and costume fabrics, we've knitting and crocheting wools, made-to-measure curtain and blind service, plus poles and tracks. Visit Strand Street, Douglas, call 611856 or see bondfabrics.im.
One architectural design company has particular expertise in achieving planning approval for a wide variety of projects, from landmark buildings to spectacular homes. Talk to the experts at Ellis Brown and get your project off the ground. For excellence in design, search Ellis Brown.
I was struggling with the stairs but didn't want to leave our family home. My daughter told me about Acorn Stair Lifts and their showroom. I was able to try the stair lifts and find the right one for me. The process was simple. They even offered next day installation. Choose the island's first choice for stair lifts, Acorn. For a free no obligation quotation, call Acorn Stair Lifts on 672 414 or call into their Douglas showroom at Key House on South Quay. Acorn Stair Lifts, keeping you safe in the home you love.
The Royal Manx Agricultural Show is on tomorrow and Saturday. And here at Manx Radio, we've teamed up with Ellen Bannon Fuels and the Ellen Bannon Friendly Beekeeper Society to give you the chance to win. We're giving away 2 £50 Curragh's Wildlife Park vouchers, kindly supplied by Ellen Bannon Fuels, and a special Ellen Bannon Friendly Beekeepers hamper. All you need to do is head over to the Friendly Beekeeper stand inside the DEFA tent. Answer the questions on the entry form, then pop it in the special box at the Manx Radio stand. The Royal Manx Agricultural Show tomorrow and Saturday at Knockalow in Patrick. It gets underway at 9 a.m. on both days, and we'll look forward to seeing you there.
When the Mannin Line's not on air, call Manx Radio to leave your opinion for broadcast on 682 631.
From Mary, the tiny allocated special assistance area at the airport's ridiculous. One tiny sign saying reserved for SA, special assistance, which everybody ignores and sits anyway. I went with Mother there. There were 4 wheelchairs and patients. Disabled and SA, special assistance, have been a total afterthought. It's an awful way to treat people. We need bigger signs, and it needs to be cordoned off, says Mary. We found John. Hi, John.
How you doing? Yes, I thought they may have not wanted me on.
No.
Well, because now I love listening to the Mannin Line. Now I'm one here. I better come on because everybody's negative about the wind turbines. It's every day we're hearing it all the time, and it's lovely to hear it. Because I love the arguments they've got, but it's all on their own opinion, just what they think, and bring every negative thought that could be. Now, I've got a wind turbine myself. When I went for that, yes, I had a lot of negativity as well, because people, and the trouble is, you're getting that many people's backs up about it. I just talked to a woman the other day. It's awful what's going on, isn't it? She said. I said, about the wind turbines. I said, well, I agree with them, but she's only just led on by this negativity from people. It's putting people off, probably from phoning, because, there are people who are for it, but the ones who don't want it, they're the first to get on and kick the bucket sort of thing. Well, there's lots of information at them, but when anybody doesn't want anything, they always pick the most negative thing that's going, and half of it's not true anyway, because as far as, having an impact on the environment, you've got concrete down, you've got your wind turbines, they last for years. There's a lot more other things, like dumping stuff down the point of air and all sorts of other things that's out, that's going to destroy the environment. But something there that's there for all time, and you can put, as far as the wind turbines go, and you can put your feet back on the concrete. There's no problem at all on it. So all I want to say is I'm one of the first, and there's a lot of people out there that would be for them, but they're probably not bothered about it because they haven't not got their backs up against it or for it.
How long have you had a wind turbine?
Oh, I've had it for a few years, but the way the electricity price is going up now all the time, because it was fair in the first place, and the very thing that, the first wind turbine that got up here, one of them, were paying the same as what they were putting in. Now they've made it that miserably small now, the payback, and then they're charging you the most for it, and even the comfy heat, that's cut back too. So it's getting to the stage now, I'm sure a lot of people, even like myself, would think it's even better to even have a wind turbine and solar panels and to come off the grid totally, because if you do go for the electric vehicles and everything else, it would pay you actually to do that, because
John,
paying that amount of money.
Yeah, John, have you got your money back from buying the turbine? Have you made enough back?
Well, it would have been good if the MEA, had kept to being a fairness, but now there's no fairness in it, so I don't think it would. But I think as far as it's going, it's the only product that's actually paying for itself. Right. Everything else, it doesn't pay for itself. So I'm a diesel man myself. I love diesel, and I think it's a very, very efficient thing. And the playing about that as if it was killing anything that man could do wouldn't make a hip of the difference, because they're not God. They're only like spiders on the earth. They don't do anything like hardly. The climate's going to do what it wants anyway, and that's what it is. So it's not going to make a hip of the difference. But I like the fact the wind, because just imagine we had sailing ships going past with all the sails going on. People would say, "Oh, it's spoiling the view because of sailing ships," because that's the same thing as just having sails out there. Right. So it's only just their side of the argument. We listen to the same people all the time. I love listening to them, but their ideas are just crap. Really, got no idea. There's a lot of positive things about it, and they do work, and the bigger they are, the more efficient they are, and the people who's got them, and they know that. So I just wanted to be sure to tell you that.
Good to hear from you, John. Thanks for calling today. We appreciate it. We took a while to get to John, but there he is. Thanks. Right, we're out of time now, and tomorrow we're going to be live at the Royal Manx Agricultural Show with a big panel of people. Sam Murray's going to be along, the farmer Sam Murray from the north, James Allenson. So we'll talk about spuds an awful lot tomorrow, and also the new managing director of the creamery is going to be along, Stephen Keeley, so we'll talk about milk. Beach Buddies Bill Dale will be there, so we'll talk about husbanding the countryside and also looking after the beaches. Murray Kringle's there from the Manx National Farmers Union, and I think the chief officer from DEFRA's going to be there, Tim Cowsall. So we'll be talking about all things agricultural and countryside tomorrow, and come along and see us. We've got a big teepee. Sorry, not a marquee. What is it? Oh, it's a gazebo. We've got a gazebo there tomorrow. Come along and say hello. We've got free water, and also lots of purple merchandise you can have. You can also play the IFGL TT Simulator. Simulator, that is, I said. Anyway, that's it. That's to Chris on the phones today. I'll catch you tomorrow live at Knockalow. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
WINT